How's it going, everybody? I'm SmokeOver13, and welcome back to another Carbon's Mic Off. And today we got a special guest known as BlackFlagsMatter, Darian Gilliam. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me on. Glad we're finally able to do this. Sorry for the cancellations. I was busy one week, you were busy last week, so glad we're finally able to get this done.
Yeah, and it is an honor to have you on this for Carbon's Mic Off, and it's awesome that you're finally able to do this with me. And yes, again, it is an honor to have you. So, my first question for the podcast is how did you get into NASCAR?
Um, so my mom's from Virginia, specifically Stanton. That's where she grew up. And when she was in the military, she moved to Las Vegas. So obviously, like her family, they grew up loving racing and stuff. So when she moved to Vegas, she would always have it on the TV. And that was the first sport I was like first attracted to. It really caught my attention, you know, long before football and basketball did. So I really credit that with like getting me into sports in general. But really,
Mhm.
yeah, I've been a fan ever since first grade, and I like Junior like my whole life, like up until like 2017 when he retired. So then after that, I just decided to do a channel, and I was like, maybe let's see if this works. And then yeah, then boom, fast forward 5 years, and it's crazy. Time flies.
So you started your YouTube channel in 2017, correct?
Yes, specifically December 28th, 2017. And if we want to get technical with it, like it was in the fall of 2016 when I first tried to make it like specifically a gaming channel. But then I don't know,
Mhm.
I just got bored with the format and I just took a year off trying to figure one out. And then once I did, then rest is history, I guess.
I'm not too far off because I basically started my YouTube channel like 2018 around January.
Mm,
Like start posting, and then when I went to the Roval race in 2018, and that's when I did my very first vlog. That's when things pretty much change around until I say about 2019 is when things start changing a bit. And Martinsville fall race in 2019 is when everything changed, and it was like it was a big deal. It was a massive deal, and I'm just it's incredible how much that you were able to do with your videos and all that, and like the Gone Too Soon's, the bus videos, um, good seasons, bad seasons. Those kind of videos are well edited and everything, and everything that you put into those videos are uh, they're incredible. As you know, you take your time. You really take your time to make those kind of videos.
yeah, no, thanks. I appreciate that. I guess like the opposite of that is like I just like use clips or whatever. I don't really put in any work too. So it's like I never get anything in between from like people. It's like yeah, I either get comments like, like what you just said or I just don't put in any work at all. But yeah, no,
Hmm.
like if you know me and stuff, I mean, I try to do as much research as possible and I mean, not every video is perfect. I mean, there's been a few errors that I've like figured out over the years too, with like certain videos that I look back on. I'm like, oh yeah, I should have added this, or like, oh, I forgot this one tiny detail that would have made a huge difference in the story. But I mean, you learn over time and stuff, and then that helps get your content like better and better as far as like gathering the information and trying to, format a way to make your videos and stuff. Because I think everyone really makes their videos in like their own different way, whether they do like the audio first or they add
Hmm.
clips first or maybe do graphics first here and there. So it's different for everybody, but yeah, my format's changed over the years, and um, I mean, it's been 5 years, so like I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm like, do people still like the clips, or should I try and do something else? But yeah, judging by the view counts and stuff, I guess people still love it, so it's cool to see.
Yeah, and like I was thinking of like the other videos that I did through my lifetime. I did since starting YouTube, and I was like, there is a couple vlogs I have done through the years. I'm like, I don't know. I like how the video went, like how the trip went and everything. I just kind of wish it was a little bit better, or Um, this I think, and one of the thing is like doing the music for certain scenes, for the vlogs. Like I want to make it, you know, good, like perfect. That's how I
Hmm.
always been with the music and stuff. And like I was kind of thinking of like the Nashville trip, for that vlog. Like it was a great trip and everything, but I feel like that one could have been a little bit better for sure. And a couple Richmond and Martinsville trips for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you just look back. I mean, just reflect on like, oh, what made this video good or not and stuff, and then you either improve it or
Hmm.
try and like cut out some of the stuff you did wrong on it and stuff too. I mean, it's a learning experience over time, man. Like, I mean, like people ask me all the time, like, oh, like how much does this cost to make the video? Blah blah blah. Like, do you have to use this? I'm like, no, that's I just use like Filmula 9. Excuse me, I just use
That's
Filmula.
what
I
I
think
do.
Filmula 9. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know if I
Filmora,
was saying that right or not. Yeah, Filmora. There we go, Filmora.
Filmora.
Yeah. Yeah, I recently started using that, and when I first started, like my brother found me like a bootleg edition of like Final Cut Pro somehow for free, basically. Like he was able to get that for me. I still don't know how he
Hmm.
did it, but I had started using that, and then over time, just found different programs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like you just learn over time how to make your videos better, how to make your content better, streams better, whatever it
Hmm.
is. And yeah, it's really all about having fun though is you have to have fun. It's the
Oh
most
yeah.
important thing. So, and you might get some stuff wrong here and there and stuff, but I mean, as long as if you're having fun, then that won't matter as much, and you'll basically improve over
Hmm.
time.
Hmm. Yeah. Like yeah, it is a learning thing. At first, especially at first when you start making YouTube content, there's things that is going to happen, like mistakes. You're going to forget something. It always happens and stuff like that. But the more you keep
Hmm.
doing it, the more better you'll get. I mean, practice it takes a lot of practice to get used to, and practice makes perfect, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So I got one thing I want to discuss about is what is with the jinx curses.
Oh gosh. Yeah, and people started getting. I mean, like I don't know, like most people get the joke or whatever, but then there was like a subsection of people who absolutely despise me for it. Like I don't know, like I guess the beginning of the year, like I don't know, I just like tweeted certain things, and then boom, things would happen, out of nowhere. Whether it's like to drivers or teams as a whole, like I mean, it's a joke basically. Like none of it is real, but it's just like
Oh
it's
yeah.
just crazy. It was just crazy this year how many times it happened consistently, you know. And then
Hmm.
it got to a point where people thought I was doing something on purpose. I'm like, no, I've always done this. Like I've been on Twitter since 2018, and this is what I always do for every race weekend. I like tweet certain stuff like that, or like certain opinions
Yeah.
during the race, or like stuff that happens about a driver, and then I don't know, it just out of nowhere, like in 2022, it just like started happening like every week. So I don't know. It wasn't planned or anything like that. And whether it continues next year, I don't know. It depends on where the luck stands, I guess. But I don't know. It's just I don't take Twitter seriously, so it's just funny to me.
Yeah, please, whatever you do, do not jinx Alex Bowman next season.
Yeah,
Um,
Danny's asked me to do that
that's
too.
yeah, yeah. Don't jinx Alex Bowman because I would like to see him win a lot of races next season. And also, can you say something about the Dallas Cowboys, so we could win another Super Bowl?
Uh,
I mean, I
Hey,
would love that. I'd love to see
They're
that.
gonna get OBJ. So I think if they get OBJ, then I
Yeah,
think they better make the Super Bowl after that. They better. I think it'll
I,
honestly come down to the Eagles and the Cowboys maybe for the NFC Championship, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see.
yeah. I'm throwing it out in the water right now, but like I'm just going ahead with it. I told my friends and a couple of the coworkers that I think the Bills are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're struggling a little bit now. Like, I don't know, they're just not as dominant
Hmm.
as they were, and then they keep turning the ball over. But yeah, I mean, like they were my Super Bowl pick, like long before the season started. And then obviously the Rams are coming off their Super Bowl. It's the worst hangover ever. There's so many injuries, and then we have no draft picks anymore. But that first game
Hmm.
against the Bills, I was like, oh boy, like this Bills team's really freaking good. So I could see them in
Yeah.
the Super Bowl. But I don't know, like. What would be like the coolest Super Bowl, in my opinion, though, is Bills versus Vikings. Not just because of the game they played earlier this year, but they're both 0 and 4
Mhm.
in the Super Bowl. So somebody's
Yeah.
going to get their first Super Bowl, whoever it is, and then the loser loses their fifth, which that would be extra painful. So it's like there's no in between. It's like the most glorious moment for one team and like probably the most painful moment for the other because it's your fifth Super Bowl loss. Because I don't think anyone has lost five Super Bowls in the history of the NFL so far. So that'd be crazy.
Oh, yeah, that would be crazy, but I mean, if the Bills do go into the Super Bowl, I'm definitely gonna go with the Bills because Josh Allen is a beast as a quarterback. So I gotta
When he
go with the
doesn't
Bills.
when he doesn't turn the ball over in the red zone, yeah, he's pretty good. But he just needs to stop the other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so for the YouTube videos, what was your favorite type of video you work on?
At first it used to be bus videos, but then over time I grew out of those because I mean, like, yeah, like I try to keep it as nice as possible, but at the end of the day, you're still calling someone like, oh yeah, this guy wasn't as good or didn't reach certain expectations because of yada yada yada. And I mean, in some of the videos, it's stuff that's like sort of, I mean, that's out of their control, but it's like, you still get that label just because, like, that's just racing. Sometimes stuff is going to be out of your control. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Yeah.
My favorite
Kind
types
of
of videos to work
ki
on. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
because like I was thinking of the video you did on Steve Park as well. Like that's another one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um
I retracted that. I ended up retracting that like a few years ago because like my logic at the
yeah.
time was like I was like applying sports logic to like racing logic to an extent because I was like, oh well, Steve
Mhm.
Park got hurt, but then other people would like bring up other athletes like Greg Oden specifically in the NBA who was selected over
Mhm.
Kevin Durant. But then over time I realized I'm like, well, in racing like it's different when someone gets hurt. They're already putting their lives at more at risk than football players and basketball players. So
Yeah.
that was like
Yeah.
unfair to do that. So then I made retracted that and made a not a bust video too. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, my favorite types of videos to make now is really the gone too soon ones, and I do those like
Mhm.
sporadically. I don't like to have them real close
Mhm.
together because I mean, you're talking about, drivers like, lives that pass away and stuff and about their career and, like, and
Yeah.
then, tell how they passed away and then talk about like their legacies and stuff. And with some of those, like, I talked about drivers that a lot of people never really heard of, like Kara Hendrick, and not a lot of people had heard about her
Mhm.
until then. And then Casey Elliott, that was one that surprised me because I thought a lot more people like knew of him and stuff, but
Mhm.
that video took off like instantly, right away. Like I wish all my videos took off that quickly, but and so like they're my fun. So like they're fun to make, but then at the same time it's pretty sad because I mean like they are dead, whether
Yeah.
it was like on the track or off the track and stuff. So but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know, just being able to tell their stories and stuff is cool because they're not able to. So,
Yeah. Uh I do enjoy the Gone Too Soon videos, especially talking about that specific driver, like what he did in his career. Getting to know about that
yeah,
driver and stuff, and yeah, it is a sad thing, and I can understand, like especially you making those kind of videos, like it is a sad thing to work on those kind of videos for sure,
mhm,
but at least you can explain about the driver's legacy and his life and stuff like that and
yeah.
get his name out there a bit. But
Yeah, so then that way it turns more of a positive and than a negative, I guess, because I used to like think really
mhm,
negatively of the series because I'm like, oh well, that's why I didn't do too many at first because I'm like, oh well, this is like kind of sad. I mean, not kind of sad. It is sad to make because they're dead and all. But then like over time, I'm like, yeah, started thinking about other reasons, and stuff, and I was like, oh well, this is my new favorite series to do now.
yeah. uh, I do remember a video you did on Rob Moroso. um,
Hmm.
like the Rob Moroso video. He was intoxicated when he was driving and was killed in a car accident, sadly. But I do remember at the little bit of the ending of that video is like, you feel bad for the father and all that. And Rob Moroso was dealing with And a lot of drivers when they're not going out there performing well, not winning or anything, they go through, a mental problem. They can go through a mental breakdown problem like that. And with Rob Moroso, has he ever won any like national series races, like
Oh, dude, like he
any of
was the
those?
Busch Series champion before moving up to the
Yeah.
Cup. Yeah, he was the Busch Series. So
Yeah.
like basically like, you know, he came up in an era when like young drivers didn't get opportunities until like they were like
Mhm.
30 or something. You know what I mean? Or like, like
Yeah.
even like starting in the Cup Series in your late 20s back then was considered like,
Yeah.
whoa, like what are we doing? So like his
Like that's a
situation
big
was
deal.
different. Because his situation was a lot different because he had his dad's backing, and his
Mhm.
dad pretty much funded his entire racing career through his companies. And then he starts a Busch
Yeah.
Series team and finds instant success, like instantly. I think like obviously he
Yeah.
wins like I think it was either his rookie year or second year he wins, and then the following year he wins the championship. The problem though was that team was not ready to move up to Cup at all. And like they had a
No.
lot of hype going in and stuff, but they would always like either wreck or their car or like their car would consistently break down. And again, he's in his early 20s, going up against like I think like a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds who have been doing this for decades
Mhm.
up to that point. So he was really like a Jeff Gordon type driver before Jeff Gordon had even
Mhm.
entered this series. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I get what you're saying about that stuff. Like, yeah, like drivers are going through a hard time, specifically him because he had so much success up to that point. Just my problem with the way he died was like he took another life.
Another.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he
Mhm.
took another life. So like,
Yeah.
it's one thing if it's like if he's drunk driving and stuff, and then it's like, oh, he ended up killing himself. Like, yeah, like I mean that obviously it's sad and stuff, but I mean like it's his life. You know what I mean? Like, that would have
Mhm.
been his fault. And I mean, it makes it even worse because I mean he got offered multiple rides and stuff. And some stories I saw like and he could have taken that, and then I mean, it was just an unfortunate situation. Like,
Mhm.
obviously back then when I made that video, this is like 2018. I was just like upset with the way it was being reported because there had been segments specifically on NASCAR Race Hub where like they'll briefly
Mhm.
talk about the tragedy and then they go back to him like, oh, he would have been this and that and this and that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you guys are forgetting like there's like yeah, he killed someone, man. Like, I mean, we've seen other athletes and stuff do something similar and like they don't get a break. So I'm like,
Mhm.
well, look, I mean, like obviously
Yeah.
in that video I talk about his career. Um, what led it up to that point and stuff. And obviously you got to feel bad for the family too, because like that sucked. So obviously I talked about that,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, he still took a life though. Like I will say this, I guess one of my only
Yeah.
criticisms, I could have been like not as hard about it, but I don't know. Up to that point, nobody had really talked about the victim and in in detail like that. So I was like, I just wanted to get my
Yeah.
point across. Like, it's sad, but at the end of the day, still took another life. She had two kill. Tammy
Mhm.
Williams had two children. She was a nurse in the area and stuff. So I was like, let's not
Mhm.
forget about the victim here. Because I mean, look, I mean, look what
Yeah.
happened to Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs, for example. I mean, like
Mhm.
he was driving drunk and stuff, going over like 150, 130, something crazy, and slams into a woman and her dog, and then they die not because of the impact, but they burnt to death basically because they were
Yeah.
dazed and stuff and didn't get out the car in time. I mean, now he's facing
Mhm.
murder charges. So I mean, if Moroso had lived and stuff, he still would have been dealing with some stuff because of that. But yeah, all around it's a sad situation though.
It is. Cause like, and like when they talk about Rob Moroso and stuff like that, or any driver or any sports athlete in general, they'll say something about his legacy, but they'll hide
Hmm.
like
Yeah, there's
what
certain
he
things they
did.
like to hide. Yeah, I mean, like, and you know what? The term role model, though, like, I always apply that to like family members, or like,
Mhm.
yeah, mostly family members, because they're the ones who raise you and stuff. Like, I don't know, I feel like role models for sports athletes and stuff. Like, I learned at a young age, like, when Michael Vick had his situation in '07, I was in the third grade. And that was like the
Mhm.
instant like sign like that. It's like, okay, none of these athletes are role models because you don't really know them like that. Like, yeah, they might be decent people or nice people and stuff, but like you don't really know
Yeah.
them like that. So your role models need to be like people within your family, or if you
Mhm.
don't have any family you look up to like that, like close friends or whatever, like, your school teachers, like, the people who, influence you and stuff, that sort of thing, But yeah, like role models for athletes though, like I stopped looking up to them like that a very long time ago. And I mean it's for reasons
Yeah,
like that.
like personally, and I told Thomas about this, and the only time, and this is true, the only time I ever judge somebody if I met the person, and in order to know somebody, you have to meet the person. Just like you, for example, like I don't know how you are in person until I met you, and you're one of the awesome, coolest dudes I ever met. And
Thank you.
just like racing drivers and other sports people, athletes and stuff, they're still a human being. Like they're still
Mhm.
humans. They do like what we do. I mean, we don't do the sports or race like what they do and stuff,
Yeah.
but we treat them like normal human beings because I mean he's just a human doing what he loves to
Hmm.
doing is racing or doing what he gets to pay. I mean it's his job. That's what he does. And like if a driver and honestly every driver is awesome. Every driver is nice to people. It's you got I mean like Kevin Harvick for example. I understand his autograph is hard to get, but I don't think he's like an asshole or anything because one, I
No,
never
I mean
met the guy.
I'm sure around
Yeah.
his family and stuff he's like the best dude or whatever. It's like, I don't know, just
Mhm.
different drivers handle, dealing with fans and the media in different ways. And then
Yeah.
I don't know. Harvick's always been like he's always been that type of guy though. So like I remember when I did
Yeah.
the Buddha belly thing back in like 2020 and stuff, and like so many people commented on that video, like dude, you actually went up to Harvick and did that, like grip some balls, blah blah blah. And I'm like, but he's just a guy, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean like it's just like a persona, I think, So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, he didn't want to touch it and stuff, and basically blew me off and stuff. But like, I don't know, just getting that video was funny, and like the fact I went up to him, like I guess like some people gave me some credit for that, so that was
Mhm.
funny to look back on. But yeah, no, outside of racing and stuff, I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I'm sure a lot of these drivers are nice.
Yeah. Like when I went to Pocono and I asked BJ McLeod, like I was just talking to him and like, hey, BJ McLeod, I mean, you're an awesome dude and all that, but I was wondering, hey, you don't mind if we drink a beer together or something? He's like, uh,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, but I don't drink and all that. Like, I don't drink beer and
Oh,
all
he
that. But he's
doesn't?
like,
Really? Wow.
no, like I was surprised, and
Hmm.
but he's like, but I really appreciate it, man. I'm like, yeah. I was like, see, these guys are awesome. Like, you can just
Yeah.
say some funny things to them, get a
Yeah. It
good kick out
depends.
of it.
Yeah. It depends. Some
Yeah.
drivers are more personable than others and stuff. So, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, so with the favorite driver, you already said Dale Jr., so Junior Nation over here. So what was your favorite race of 2022?
Ooh, I mean that's tough. I mean there were some bangers, man. Nothing on the
Mhm.
short tracks really. That's those I'm I didn't think I would say that at the beginning of the year. Ah, man, that's tough, man. Like I mean there were some cool moments too. Of course, Ross Chastain's wall ride. I don't know, like Auto
Yeah.
Club, in my opinion, like I love that race. Like that was the perfect first like legit race on like a mile and a half or a 2 mile track. Because it was the
Mhm.
first real test of the next gen. And how does this how will this car race basically the entire season on these types of tracks?
Mhm.
And it was cool. I mean, right from the get go, right? I mean, from qualifying and stuff, it was very action packed. He had drivers spinning out and stuff. But then that was really the first time like we started seeing, the hits take its toll on the drivers. Because I think that's when some
Yeah.
stuff started coming out, little by little throughout the season. But that was the very beginning of it of like, man, these cars are like they're not as safe as we thought they were. But I mean, as far as the
Yeah.
racing aspect, I mean. Right from the get-go, we saw parity. Eric Jones was up there. That was a shock at the time. And then, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he was running up in first place. And then, we had certain guys just coming and going, really. So it was awesome too. That's my personal favorite outside of any sort of super speedway. But then my favorite super speedway race had to have been the fall Talladega race. And I was
Hmm.
at the Daytona 500 this year. I mean, I had an awesome time and stuff. But that fall Talladega race was like, I was really intrigued on how they would be able to drive, considering all the safety stuff that came out, and like some were maybe anticipating like, oh, it might be single file most of the time. But no, it was just there wasn't a whole lot of wrecks, a whole lot of chaos. It was just action
Hmm.
packed pack racing, and it was
Yeah.
satisfying from start to finish.
Oh yeah, definitely. Funny enough, I keep forgetting that you and me met at the Daytona 500
Mhm. Yeah.
because we took that big group photo. But
Mhm.
that was Daytona 500. That was my first Daytona 500, and I had a
Oh, that's cool.
hell of a great time too. And would like to go next year, but I doubt I'll be able to go next year.
Yeah,
But
I don't think I'm going next year either. I mean, I've already been to it 3 times now, and like I don't know, like I remember the first time in 2020, that was crazy. Like I wasn't there for the Monday race. Like I was only there for Sunday because I needed to go back because for school and stuff like that. That Monday,
yeah.
which I'm glad I
Hmm.
did because I would not have want to been to, after the Newman crash and stuff. That would have been crazy to witness that and stuff. So I'm glad I didn't see that. But then 2021, I came back, saw the whole thing, and it was like it was so cold, man. The racing was boring and stuff. I was like, man. And then 2022, that was the 500. I was like, yes, okay, that was perfect the entire weekend.
Yeah, that was a great weekend.
Yeah.
Uh, Favorite. All right, so we are ready to discuss about favorite race of 2022. Mine was the Coke 600 because that race was wild, and being there in
Yeah.
person was even better. What was your favorite race of all time?
Ooh, all time. That's so tough. Oh man, yeah, that's really tough. I, man, the 2010 Aaron's 499. I mean, I don't think
Hmm.
that really gets talked about enough, but like, didn't we have like 83 lead changes? Something crazy like that? Like a NASCAR
Hmm.
record. Like, I remember that
Hmm.
race being crazy, from start to finish. Um, and then like the final lap pass, of course, when Kevin Harvick won. But what's the
Yeah.
most memorable to me though is that that's an all-time great finish, and DW completely butchers the call, completely ruins it by doing that. Like he did it so long,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like dude, like you should have just let Mike Joy and them talk, man. Like, but no, over Mike
Yeah.
Joy's voice, over Mike Joy's stellar commentating, is DW just like screaming for like half a straightaway. Oh
Yeah.
man, no, that was fun. That was cool. But I don't know. That one's cool though. I mean, for all the lead
Hmm.
changes and action it had. I mean, obviously people aren't gonna say like, oh, it's an all-time great, but I don't know. Like that's one I could think of right now. I mean, there's just so many NASCAR races, so it's really hard to pick like, oh, like what's the greatest.
Yeah. Uh, I have quite a few. Especially a couple like for example, like 2014 Martinsville Fall and Dale Jr. one. Every once in a while, I'll actually just sit there and rewatch that whole race again.
Mm,
And I mean, I was happy to be there. One thing, but I was like, man, I love the sound of the 2014 car so much. I
yeah,
miss it
I was
so
at the
much.
Vegas race that year. Yeah, I was in the spring when Junior almost won. That sucked, sitting on the straightaway and watching him sputter. Because I thought he had it for sure. And I was like, holy crap, I'm about to see Junior win in Las Vegas. And then, like,
Hmm.
just as soon as he came out of turn two, it just slowed down. And then the car picked back up again. So I'm like, so he ran
Like,
out of fuel for a
come
brief moment,
on.
just enough. Yeah, just enough for Keselowski to take the win. But he was on a roll because in the first three races
Hmm.
he had a worse finish of second. So I'm like, damn, he could have gotten three in a row if had things gone his way a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, but
So
but yeah, I was at a race that year, but Junior didn't win, unfortunately.
yeah. So the last question for the podcast: what races are you attending next year?
Oh, it'll depend on what I get access for. Like at this point, there's only like there's a few tracks that I haven't been to as a fan because I feel like over the past few years, I mean, I've been blessed to do the YouTube stuff, obviously, And at first, I wanted to go to
Mhm.
races, a lot more races as a fan and stuff. So because you guys watch the videos, I'm able to, make enough money to not only pay my bills, but then, go do some other stuff like that. And
Mhm.
and now we're about to enter the year 2023, and I feel like most of the tracks I wanted to go to as a fan, I've been to already. So like the next time I go to certain tracks, I want to go as like credentialed media and stuff, like I want to try,
Yeah.
apply for certain tracks and stuff and get access here and there. And fortunately, some tracks have been cool with it, some tracks haven't. I mean, some tracks are still trying to figure out like what their different requirements will be and stuff, because I mean they haven't had anything like this happen before. So they
Yeah.
usually just had to deal with traditional media. So
Mhm.
that's sort of a challenge in some places, but there have been tracks that I've been surprised that have let me in and have even pondered over the ideas. So I can't really say like what tracks I'll be at next year, but it'll really mostly depend on what I can get access for. And then as far as the very few tracks I haven't been to as a fan, I mean, oh, I don't know. I can't really think of any, but I would go back to Bristol as a fan though. That's always a track that I love to go to. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Bristol,
Yeah.
and then there are other tracks too that aren't even just NASCAR related. Like a lot of short tracks in the area. Like I mean, I've been doing my working at the fairgrounds for a little bit, so I'm always seeing racing out there. So I guess to answer your question, I'll definitely be at the fairgrounds next year. I know that for sure.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome, man. Uh, and just like right, like for the past couple days, I've been talking to Connor a bit about me going to the Chicago street course race and see what that's like in person.
Yeah,
So,
it costs an
uh,
arm and a leg though. Costs an arm and a leg though, so make sure you save your money.
yeah, and but things are kind of working out a bit. Just trying to find a good plane ride to get to Chicago for sure. And I was
Okay.
surprised on how far it is from Virginia to Illinois to Chicago.
Oh yeah.
And I was
Isn't
looking
it
at the
eight
time.
hours? Or no,
No,
not
it
eight
only
hours. I'm
takes
sorry.
like
No, from Tennessee. No, my bad. From Tennessee is eight. It's like eight something. What's yours? What's yours? My bad. You're in Virginia.
it only takes like an hour, hour and a half to get there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Like I looked at the
Wow.
time and saw the distance and it says like an hour and a half. And
Oh, that's good.
even my bosses went to Chicago and he said, "Yeah, it only takes like an hour and a half to get there." I was like, "Man, that's
Man,
pretty
that's not
surprising."
bad. Yeah, that's not bad at
Yeah.
all. That's not bad at all, man. But yeah, no, you'll definitely see me at the fairgrounds next year. As far as some NASCAR tracks, it'll all just depend on what I can get access for.
Yeah. Well, you said something about Bristol, so I will be at Bristol next year for the
Hmm.
both dirt races and the cup race. And so hopefully I'll see you there. So where can people find you?
Just follow me. You can find me at Black Flags Matter, my YouTube channel, and then Black Flag Matter. They wouldn't let me put the S at the end on Instagram and Twitter too. I just post a bunch of random stuff all the time too. Instagram is more of like my personal one. So
Mhm.
I was just in Virginia last week for Thanksgiving, helping chopping down trees, and then ended up getting some of these bumps on my hand and stuff. I still don't know how I got them. Like I think it might be from the pine. I don't think it's from the grass because I've been there before and last year and it didn't do this, but
It's
I
the
didn't
pine.
cut. Yeah, it was probably the pine. Yeah, definitely the pine. I thought it was like the prick, like little, the tree pricks at first. I don't
Mm-mm.
know. I think I said that right. Did I? Like, what is it called? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, just I don't know. The tree kept poking
Pine
me
needles,
basically. So
like
yeah.
the
So
pine
like it,
needles.
yeah. So it kept poking me pretty much sometimes, but yeah, I think it's mostly from the pine when I was like cutting it and stuff. But yeah, no. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can find me on there and on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, of course. And then we're currently planning stuff out for the NASCAR Weekly Podcast Season 6. We just had a meeting last night. So stay tuned for
Mhm.
that. We're going to be adding some new stuff, some new features, new graphics, that sort of thing. And yeah, so we're just planning for 2023.
Alrighty, thank you, Darian. Really appreciate it for you joining for the Carbons mic off. Really appreciate it. It was an honor, and hopefully next year that we can finally meet again at a race
Mhm.
somewhere. I don't know where. Um, we'll see how that goes. And but thanks, Darian. It's amazing for you uh, having you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Glad we finally got it done, man. And if you want to have me on next year, just hit me up. I'll be willing to come on again.
Alrighty. But thank you
Okay.
guys for watching the Carbon's Mic Off with Darian, Gilliam, Black Flags Matter. But thank you all so much. If you enjoy, hit that like button. Also subscribe for more if you want more Carbon's Mic Off. It's just an honor to have him on here. But just remember, I love every single one of y'all. Just remember, stay gold. 3, 2,
Goodbye.
1.